Hi there, so we're going to do lesson 1.1 today. We've got lots of things to do, and even though we may feel like doing 0 things, we're going to be looking at 3 learning goals for this lesson. So the first is that we're going to be identifying the difference between a numerator and a denominator, some vocabulary. We're going to be using fractions to show which part of a whole is shaded, and we're going to look at application problems to be able to write fractions. A fraction is one or more equal parts out of a total of equal parts. So what we've got here is a picture of a week, and we know that a week is comprised of 7 days. And we can see here that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 7 days are shaded. So fractions are always presented as a numerator-denominator relationship, with the numerator being on the top and the denominator being on the bottom. So that's on the down side. We can think of denominator as down. The denominator is always the total number of pieces, if you will. So we have 7 days in the week, and the numerator, the number up top, is going to be the number that is shaded. So our fraction here is going to be 5/7. The numerator is 5 and the denominator is 7. So if you remember the D for down, this is going to be your total, and the numerator is going to be the parts of the total. Let's take a look at some exercises and jump right in together. If we look at some fractions such as number 1, 1/4, 1 being the numerator and 4 being the denominator, we have a couple names for this type of fraction. We can call this 1/4, where the denominator we're using the ordinal, the th usually, or erds sort of thing. So we've got 1/4, or this particular fraction has a second way to say a quarter, right? Just like 25 cents, 1/4. So what this fraction means is we've got 1 out of the 4 equal parts. For number 2, we only have one way to name this fraction. It's 1/3. It's called 1/3. And this means 1 of the 3 equal parts. For number 3, we're looking at the parts of the whole, so we're going to be noticing how many pieces each figure is divided into and then how many are shaded. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal pieces. So that's our total, that's our denominator, and 1 is shaded. So 1 of the 5 equal parts, and if we were to write this as a fraction, it would look like 1/5, 1/5. For B, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. 8 equal parts. 6 of them are shaded, so we would have 6/8, 6/8. And for number 4, we're very much doing the same thing as number 3. What fraction of the whole do the shaded parts represent? Now we're just creating the fraction. So we have a total of 4 pieces, and 3 of them are shaded. We have 3/4 or 3/4. For B, it's also divided in 8 like you see above. So it's going to be out of 8, but this time only 3 pieces are shaded. So we have 3/8, 3/8. For number 5, we're going to be dividing up a figure, and it doesn't matter if you divide horizontally or vertically. We try our best to make the divisions pretty equal. I'm not so great at this, so just bear with me. We see that this is a 2/5, so it's going to be out of 5. So I'm going to try to divide pretty evenly if I can. It's not so great, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and I'm going to shade 2 of them. And you can shade any 2. They can be separated from each other. It doesn't matter. That's just a representation. And for B, we have 3/3, so the whole thing is going to be shaded, but we still need to divide into 3. Boy, not so great at dividing it, but you get the idea. You do the same with yours. I'm sure yours looks nicer than mine. we're going to shade all 3 of the 3 pieces of that circle. We're going to jump ahead to page 8. This should have a P here. Sorry about that. We're going to take a look at word problems, kind of application problem questions now. So we're going to write fraction described in each of these problems. So we've got a student spending 9 hours sleeping, 4 hours in class, and 3 hours doing homework each day. So what fraction of the day is spent sleeping? Well, we know the hours sleeping is 9. That's not the total hours in the day, right? We know 9 is spent sleeping. How many hours are in a day? That's right, it's 24 hours. So we're going to be putting 24 as our denominator. Remember, our denominator is our total number. B says what part of the day is spent studying in class and outside of class. Okay, well, we spent 4 hours in class and 3 hours doing homework outside of class. So we're going to take those 2 and combine them. So that's going to give us 7 hours of studying. So 7 out of the 24 hours is spent studying. And then C says, what part of the day is left for other things? Okay, well, if we're spending 9 hours sleeping and 7 hours studying, how much is left? We're going to have to do 2 things here. We're going to have to combine the 9 plus the 7. That's going to be 16 hours of our day taken up studying and sleeping. So what's left? Well, we take the 24 total minus the 16, and that's going to give us 8 hours. So we have 8 hours left out of the 24 left for doing the other things that we need to do in a day. Question number 2 for the do together is about Susan. So she's finished painting 5 rooms of her 7-room house. How much of the house is left to paint, assuming all the rooms are of the same size? So we know that she has painted 5 out of the 7. So what's left to do? We just have to take the 7 minus the 5 that she's done. That gives us 2. So 2 out of the 7 are left to paint. So your job today and on the upcoming days is to work on the exercises for lesson 1.1, pages 8 to 12. You can check your own answers at the back of the module. And I'd also like you to consider trying the practice quiz and practice assignment in Moodle. They're very, very short. It just gets you a little bit of practice in before we take our first real quiz and do our assignment for module 1. So you have a bit of time for those. Consider getting those done in the next 3 or 4 days. Thanks. Have a great day.